Good day, it's Dr. Will, CBMD, PhD. Hey, it's Sunday, January 31st, 2016. It is 9:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Chloroplasts capture energy from sunlight. Chloroplasts are large green organelles that are found only in the cells of plants and algae, not in the cells of animals or fungi. These organelles have an even more complex structure than mitochondria. In addition to their two surrounding membranes, chloroplasts possess internal stacks of membranes containing the green pigment chlorophyll. When a plant is kept in the dark, its greenness fades. When it put back in the light, its greenness returns. This suggests that the chlorophyll and the chloroplasts that contain it are crucial to the special relationship that plants and algae have with light. But what is that relationship? Animals and plants all need energy to live, grow, and reproduce. Animals can use only the chemical energy they obtain by feeding on products of other living things, but plants can get their energy directly. Sunlight and chloroplasts are the organelles that enable them to do so. From the standpoint of life on Earth, chloroplasts carry out an even more essential task than mitochondria. They perform photosynthesis, that is, they trap the energy of sunlight in the chlorophyll molecules and use this energy to drive the manufacture of energy-rich sugar molecules. In the process, they release oxygen as a molecular byproduct. Plant cells can then extract this stored chemical energy when they need it, by oxidizing these sugars in their mitochondria, just as animal cells do. Chloroplasts thus generate both the food molecules and the oxygen that all mitochondria use. Like mitochondria, chloroplasts contain their own DNA, reproduced by dividing in two, and are thought to have evolved from bacteria. In this case, from photosynthetic bacteria that were somehow engulfed by an early eukaryotic cell. Nuclei, mitochondria, and chloroplasts are only the membrane-enclosed organelles inside eukaryotic cells. The cytoplasm contains a profusion of other organelles, most of them surrounded by single membranes that perform many distinct functions. Most of these structures are involved with the cell's ability to import raw materials and to export manufactured substances and waste products. Some of these membrane-enclosed organelles are enormously enlarged in cells that are specialized for the secretion of proteins. Others are particularly plentiful in cells specialized for the digestion of foreign bodies. The endoplasmic reticulum, ER, an irregular maze of interconnected spaces enclosed by a membrane, is a site where most cell membrane components as well as materials destined for export from the cell are made. Stacks of flattened membrane-enclosed sacs constitute the Golgi apparatus, which receives and often chemically modifies the molecules made in the endoplasmic reticulum, and then directs them to the exterior of the cell or to various locations inside the cell. Lysosomes are small, irregularly shaped organelles in which intercellular digestion occurs, releasing nutrients from food particles and breaking down unwanted molecules for recycling or excretion. And peroxisomes are small, membrane-enclosed vessels that provide a contained environment for reactions in which hydrogen peroxide, a dangerously reactive chemical, is generated and degraded. Membranes also form many different types of small vessels involved in the transport of materials between one membrane-enclosed organelle and another. This whole system of related organelles is sketched. A continual exchange of materials takes place between the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, and lysosomes, and the outside of the cell. The exchange is mediated by small vessels that pinch off from the membrane of one organelle and fuse with another, like tiny soap bubbles budding from and rejoining larger bubbles. At the surface of the cell, for example, portions of the plasma membrane tuck inward and pinch off to form vessels that carry material captured from the external medium into the cell. These vessels fuse with membrane-enclosed endosomes, which mature in the lysosomes, where the imported material is digested. Animal cells can engulf very large particles or even entire foreign cells by this process of endocytosis. Reverse process exocytosis, whereby vessels from inside the cell fuse with the plasma membrane and release their contents into the external medium, is also a common cellular activity. Most hormones, neurotransmitters, and other signaling molecules are secreted from cells by exocytosis. The cytosol is a concentrated aqueous gel of large and small molecules. If we were to strip the plasma membrane from the eukaryotic cell, then remove all of its membrane-enclosed organelles, including nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, chloroplasts, and so on, we would be left with the cytosol. In other words, the cytosol is the part of the cytoplasm that is not partitioned off within intercellular membranes. In most cells, the cytosol is the largest single compartment. It contains a host of large small molecules crowded together so closely that it behaves more like a water-based gel than a liquid solution. The cytosol is the site of many chemical reactions that are fundamental to the cell's existence. The early steps in the breakdown of nutrient molecules that take place in the cytosol, for example, and it is here that the cell performs one of its key synthetic processes, the manufacture of proteins. Ribosomes, the molecular machines that make the protein molecules, are visible with the electron microscope as small particles in the cytosol, often attached to the cytosolic face of the endoplasmic reticulum. The cytoskeleton is responsible for directed cell movements. The cytoplasm is not just a structureless soup of chemicals and organelles using an electron microscope. One can see that the eukaryotic cells, the cytosol, is crisscrossed by long, fine filaments of protein. Frequently, the filaments are seen to be anchored at one end to the plasma membrane or to radiate out from a central site adjacent to the nucleus. The system of filaments is called the cytoskeleton. The thinnest of the filaments are actin filaments, which are present in all eukaryotic cells but occur in especially large numbers inside muscle cells, where they serve as part of the machinery that generates contractile forces. The thickest filaments are called microtubules because they have the form of minute hollow tubes. In dividing cells, they become reorganized into a spectacular array that helps pull the duplicated chromosomes in opposite directions and distribute them equally to the two daughter cells. Intermediate in thickness between actin filaments and microtubules are the intermediate filaments, which serve to strengthen the cell mechanically. Because the cytoskeleton governs the internal organization of the cell as well as its external features, it is as necessary to a plant cell boxed in a tough wall of extracellular matrix as it is to an animal cell that freely bends, stretches, swims, or crawls. In a plant cell, for example, organelles such as mitochondria are driven in constant stream around the cell interior along cytoskeleton tracts. And animal cells and plant cells alike depend on the cytoskeleton to separate their internal components into two daughter sets during cell division. Its role in cell division may be the most ancient function of the cytoskeleton. Even bacteria contain proteins that are distantly related to those of eukaryotic actin filaments and microtubules that form filaments that play a part in prokaryotic cell division. The cytoplasm is far from static. The cell interior is in constant motion. The cytoskeleton is a dynamic jungle of ropes and rods that are continually being strung together and taken apart. Its filaments can assemble and then disappear in a matter of minutes. Along these tracks and cables, organelles and vessels hurry to and fro, racing across the width of the cell in a second or so. The endoplasmic reticulum and the molecules that fill every space are in frantic thermal commotion, with unattached proteins buzzing around so fast that even though they move at random, they visit every corner of the cell within a few seconds, constantly colliding with the even more tumultuous dust storm of smaller organic molecules. Eukaryotic cells may have originated as predators. Eukaryotic cells are typically 10 times the length and 1,000 times the volume of prokaryotic cells, although there is a huge size variation within each category. In addition, they possess a whole collection of features, a cytoskeleton, mitochondria, and other organelles that set them apart from bacteria and archaea. When and how eukaryotes evolved these systems remains something of a mystery. Although eukaryotes, bacteria, and archaea must have diverged from one another very early in the history of life on Earth, the eukaryotes did not acquire all of their distinctive features at the same time. According to one theory, the ancestral eukaryotic cell was a predator that fed by capturing other cells. Such a way of life requires a large size, a flexible membrane, and a cytoskeleton to help the cell move and eat. The nuclear compartment may have evolved to keep the DNA segregated from this physical and chemical hurly-burly so as to allow more delicate and complex control of the way the cell reads out its genetic information.